Welcome back to another episode of Light Between Us. This is a podcast with no rules, no boundaries, and no expectations. It truly just is. These are unscripted conversations with those I have real relationships with. This is not an interview or an informational podcast, but a podcast of witness to the living example of healing through relation, 2 by 2. This podcast is a space for us to meet fully in the present and to allow the miracles, the love, and the light to shine through. A reminder, we do not wake up alone. We remember the truth together 2 by 2 as the light reveals itself in the space between us. Oh, friends, we are back again. 2 weeks ago, we had a special version of Light Between Us, which maybe is becoming an ongoing version. I don't know. But today is the follow-up, the next one-on-one coaching session with Julie. We meet bi-weekly. We record it again. When we hit record, we didn't know what we were going to do with it this second time. But Julie's like, make it go live. And so today is a continuation because we reflect on what we talked about in the last episode. So if you did not catch that, go check out the episode with Julie, the coaching one-on-one session, the one right before the one with Evelina, which is also an amazing episode if you missed that. But today we dive even deeper into going beyond personal development and what is spirit development, and are we really broken? Do we need to be healed? Is this a concept that is teaching truth, or is this a concept leading us further into this space of fear and individuality and specialness and all the things that keep us from the true love of God flowing through us? Julie really wanted to focus on celebration in the last coaching session. And of course, if you watched it, we see it went into much different direction as always. Like, we can always have a idea of where we want to go in these sessions, but never does it like that's not what determines where it goes. When we really get into the flow and allow spirit to move through us, it just goes where it's meant to. But today we actually get to do a lot of celebrating and really reflecting on where things have been and where they are and what the shift really is. This is a shift of personal development to spirit development, from one singleness, like individualism, to true oneness. And Julie shares some amazing, amazing experiences that she has been having recently, and your mind is just going to be blown. So if you have ever felt stuck in the personal development, self-development wheel, this episode is for you, because it really gives you insight into like why that wheel was created, what causes us to get stuck in it, and what opportunities lie after that. So as always, if you love this episode or any of the previous episodes, do all the things like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I highly invite you to share this with someone else, because we do not heal alone. We heal 2 by 2. And guess what? I use the word heal, but tell me, post below, do you believe we heal? Are we broken after listening to this podcast? So much love. Here it is. Every time to kind of set the stage so we're at least kind of, even though you and I communicate so much, but anyway, we're on the same page. You literally just wrote celebrate. I mean, like, there's a little bit more, but it's only about celebrating.
It's true.
Like, what's coming up? Celebrating.
I'm glad that and what I have been doing with those forms for a while, but has been, I just sit down to fill them out and I don't really think about it. And I look at our invitations from the notes, obviously, to answer the question about, did you do any of the homework kind of thing. But like that last question about what do you want to talk about today? I was like, I wrote that. I want to celebrate these connections and abundance. And then I just stopped for a second and I was like, submit. And that was it. I was like, I'm not thinking about more. I'm like, and that's it for now until we get on the call, which always takes its own journey, no matter what. So yes, that's what has been on my mind. But I wanted to say, since I sent that form, only like an hour ago.
Yeah, it was
Something
like, that
came
was
to me.
long ago.
I know. As I was like brushing my teeth, and I was like, you know what it is? I'm in such like this. These are the words that came to me. Like, I'm in a receiving mode of, I don't, like, I was thinking, like, I think historically with us, because it's been over 3 years, I think I entered our calls with, like, what do I want to work on? What do I want to improve? What do I need to change? You know, that kind of mentality. And now I'm like, I don't need to change anything. Like, I'm good. So those words came to me. Like, I'm in receiving mode, and I'm very, I don't want or need to change anything. And not that things aren't changing, but you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's like you're shifting, like really, like you've consciously made the shift, but I feel like you're fully integrating the shift of from personal development mindset to spirit development mindset. Because spirit would say you're wholly perfect already, and there's nothing you need to, and you're not broken. Like, it does not believe in the, we're broken, or we are sinners and we need to, it's none of that. And that's very like the person, like what we've been taught our whole lives. And it's a huge shift to all of a sudden, like, fully accept, like, I really, like, need do nothing, that statement from the Course that we just grapple with so much, but it really means that. It means, like, the problem is that you are doing things. The problem is the belief that you need to do things is what's getting in your way of experiencing your innate state. So, I mean, it is all receiving, right? Because, like, if we look at love or fear fear can take, it can supposedly do both, but when we're in love, that's all there is, giving and receiving. And you can't just give and not receive, right? Like, when it comes to love, there is no, like, there's no disconnection from those. There's no disconnection. So I think it's a huge representation of, like, you're like, really, you can feel the integration of the shift. And that's why it gets so simple, right? We talk about the Course. It's so simple that it's, like, chaotic. It feels like, but
sometimes
that's why
you're like, it can't be like this, but it is.
Yeah, but that's what you're experiencing, because, like, you literally just said, Julie, you're like, I don't seek for change, but it's still happening.
Yeah, it happens, because that's just life. That's the journey.
But that's what you said. So that's, like, the difference is, like, you're just allowing it. Like, you're not seeking to manipulate the world anymore. And you've really found this space of grace, of peace within. And when all of a sudden you're not, when a rock comes up, it'll come up. You don't need to go excavating for the rock. You don't need to believe the rock is already there.
Right. Well, I was like I said, brushing my teeth, and I was like, oh, I think this is what contentment is. Like, I think that's maybe the definition of contentment and satisfaction.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny, but it was like, of course, and we'll talk about it, I've had a series of connections and things that have happened in the last couple weeks, and in the last week in particular has been highlighted, but that's what came to me. I was like, I'm not like, even the podcasts I watch or the books I'm reading or whatever, there's a theme around relationships, but also it's not to I mean, I think there was a part of me that's like, to improve my relationships, to improve my communication, and then I've been watching them, and I'm like, I just really enjoy them. I just really enjoy watching, like, Esther Perel talk about love and relationships and sex and whatever all the things are, that because she coaches, she's a therapist, so she coaches people. Relationship coach. And just watching that it makes me so happy, and I'm like, and that's it. Because I started to ask myself, like, what am I doing with this content? Like, what am I doing with it? I'm like, I feel good. Like, I feel good about my relationships, and I'm sure there's little bits and bites here and there that I'm like, oh, cool, I like that. I'm gonna use that in the future.
Right.
But I'm not doing it for any other purpose other than I enjoy it.
And that's the key is, right? Like, it's literally, the person development, like you said before, it was do something to seek a specific outcome, right? Even it could be like making money, a big piece when you started to move over that hurdle, I feel, Julie, was going to Oxford. You had so many people say, and then like, okay, what kind of degree are you getting? Yeah, like what's the like? What are you going to do with this? What are you going to use this for? And you just kept being like,
nothing. I'm gonna
like, I don't know. I guess we'll see what's in store.
I guess we'll see. Yeah, I guess we'll see.
I think, but that was like a huge. I think the first time that like you were able to, because we talk about like education and being intelligent on your last podcast has been very important, a backdrop that you didn't know, but like to not seek something from an education is huge, right? Because that goes against everything of like, well, I need to know these things, or then I can do this, or then I can do that. So because that's what it is, like it's seen that nothing here is being used for anything other than the deep remembrance within. And so that means it's kind of like you're just looking for this, you're just allowing the sparks, right? So like you're listening to that and you're feeling joy, and granted it's not causing you to do anything at form in this moment, maybe you feel like you will, but it's sparking deeper remembrance. And that's why you're like, like you feel a deeper purpose of listening to that podcast than ever. Or connection. Like I can't wait to talk about your connections, because then
for
just interacting with people becomes such a deeper thing.
I think it's interesting. It's been I mean, and of course, since we brought up, like the last call, and one thing I was struggling with at the end of our call was like, you asked me the questions about what does knowledge mean, or what does learning mean, or what does that mean to you? And I was struggling with what you just shared, which is like saying I don't know that I didn't want to say it. I felt like I couldn't articulate it. I was using the old mindset of like, well, knowledge means I go to school and I learn stuff and I do stuff with it. It was that mentality. And then afterwards I was like, no, that's not what it is. But in the moment on the call, it felt like I felt like I was trying to force an answer. I did. But since that time, I think I've had different awareness about it, and I feel differently about it, which is just like you said, the integration of aligning with whatever it is I'm studying or reading or whatever isn't to learn like a new thing. It's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is, this is just interesting to me. I'm enjoying it. I like watching these two people talk about relationships. And so that's what I'm doing. And that's it. And that's it. Like, there's nothing else.
Well, but it's because you have a deeper knowing of what the ultimate purpose is, which is remembering the love of God, which is the connection. So I wouldn't say that it's not that you've removed the purpose. You've remembered the true purpose, which isn't of the world, right? So it's not about manipulating the world. It's about connecting with that deep internal love. So you can just find joy in whatever without a reason, without a reason at the level of form.
Or an outcome.
But with an outcome, because we've been so trained, if it doesn't have an outcome, why are you doing it? Right? Like people literally,
I have a perfect example. I have a perfect example that I can't wait to tell you, but go on. Yes. We don't have to do it right now. I just have a good example. Yeah.
you know, when we get into the spin cycle and we hate the spin cycle because we feel frustrated, it's because we no longer align with that quote unquote story we've told ourselves or belief. So the reason why you felt like you were trying to force, you literally were trying to, like you still were holding on to that old definition, but it didn't make sense.
It didn't.
So then you felt like confused and like you were forcing it, but it was the acceptance of it being okay that you don't align with a story that you've been telling yourself forever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where you've been able to get in the last couple weeks since that call, is like the true acceptance of like, wait, I was trying to say something I don't believe anymore.
Yeah, true.
And it's like the permission slip to not believe that that's what intelligence has to look like or has to be. And not to say it's not either, right? You're not saying like that's not what intelligence is, but you're saying I don't need to have a definition of intelligence anymore.
Yeah, thank you. That was helpful. I agree with that because I noticed it. I was like, because of course I watched it since we recorded it. Yeah. And I was like, God, I was really struggling with saying what does intelligence mean to me. And I could feel it. And I'm like, and even in that next day or the day after, whenever I watched it, I was like, I can't even like, it's not about what I said. That's not it. I could feel it. I was like, that's not it. So it was good though. So thank you for recording this because it was helpful for me to see it, like to see it versus reading notes. Of course, have always been helpful for years, but seeing it and then watching me myself talk about it. And I was like, that's not it. That's not true. That's what I've been telling myself, but that's not what I believe anymore. That's why I was struggling with words and like I kept hitting a wall on when you were asking me that question. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I can't answer this.
But but
it was good.
I think the beauty of recording that just popped in my head, Julie, because I was talking to Scott this week about being the observer, and that's where we're really going is being the observer. And when you're in the spin cycle, like the ability to observe is not there because that's why you're in the spin cycle.
I know.
But later, I mean, that's why it was so easy for you to watch the playback. Like you felt the frustration because you're like, oh my God, I feel for this Julie.
I was like, I gotta find words. Gotta say something smart.
But you could just observe it and be like, oh my gosh, no, like that's that's why you feel like you're in the spin cycle. You don't agree with, so you really got to experience where we're headed, which is the observer seat of observing this Julie unwinding stories and not attaching. So yeah, I think the recording is like, it's where we eventually want to be, but it's like a representation at the level of form to start to help us. You know, like we have those little things that help us, maybe routines or whatever that help us to experience where we're really going to be in the end. I
felt it. The observer, like you said, when I watched it, I shared this with you before, but I felt what I was really proud of or happy about was that I didn't observe it from a place of judgment. I was really like, that's so interesting. That's so interesting that you were like feeling frustrated at that moment or couldn't explain what you meant about this or whatever. And but watching it, I was like, cool, you're good. Like you're good. You could see through it. Yeah, I was like, in that moment, I was trying to explain something that I couldn't explain or I didn't want to say or whatever it was. And I don't know. It was a wonderful experience to watch it, like you said, and be the observer. And it is a whole nother level of kind of seeing the truth about the things I tell myself, like, right, our line, which is, what are you telling yourself? What story are you telling yourself versus what do you really believe?
Right.
So I could watch and go, oh, no, I don't, that's not what I believe. I can see it.
Like, whoa, you're really telling yourself a story.
Oh yeah, you're trying to make that a story that isn't a story anymore. It's like, wait. Something I've said on repeat or whatever it was, So anyway, it was cool. I enjoyed it.
But you know what? Like this, I'm like just going on this observer thing.
Yeah.
I asked you on the phone when we were just catching up the other day. I brought up someone who doesn't watch any of the podcasts, and then brought up like how you always do and how I do now. But it's like that you're not ready for something until you're ready for something. And it's a pretty, like, if you're not ready to be the observer, then you're just going to judge watching yourself. Like, you would have just been like all in this judgment place. But it's no coincidence that literally you used to listen to podcasts that tell you what to do. And your main podcasts you listen to now are actually just hearing other people coach. So you get to be the observer.
True.
So you've been really like leading in to this space of observing other bodies. And now it's like, oh, I'm going to observe the hardest body, right? Which is the body of Julie, the body you believe that is who you are.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to highlight that because it's like,
True.
we're not supposed to make direct correlations at the level of form, but I also do know that like the Holy Spirit and Jesus doesn't just leave us hanging and make everything not make sense, because otherwise we wouldn't have it would just be like too confusing, I think.
It feels you're right. It feels like a natural progression, which is why we recorded last time, because I don't know, like I said in the beginning of it, was it kind of came from my class where it came up as a method of reflective journaling. And it just, so that prompted me a little bit where I was like, well, I've never videoed myself. I've audioed myself. And I thought, I don't know, it just was the spark, like you said, about, well, let's try it. And then see what is it a good tool for us, or is it not a good tool? And that's okay. Either way, if it's good, great. And if it's not good, then don't do it again. It doesn't matter. Right. So I found it to be very helpful.
Well, and the pieces too, it's like this is where you could get caught up, which I think is so beautiful you have it, is like we originally did it to put it on Light Between Us podcast. And so when I reproached for like, oh, are we going to record this week? Because neither of us need to attach to stories, we were able to see the different options of what that means. Like, it doesn't need to go on Light. The last one went on, maybe one day it will, but you're like, this was really helpful for me. So let's hit record. I'll keep it. You know what I mean? Like, so I think like it's
unlimited possibilities.
Yeah, in spirit, use some of your preferences to move that way. Like, you've listened to podcasts, so you thought, oh, it's to be on Ashley's podcast. And who knows what it will come. But I think it just shows how things that we're interacting with are used. But that doesn't mean that's the end of the story. It might just be the thing to get us moving in the direction that that is more helpful for us. But being open that like, oh, we can record without putting it on the podcast and it still be okay.
Yeah, I agree. No, I definitely was having some noise about it today in my mind. I mean, and no, I
like
just
the
came
bugs.
Back.
The bugs were talking. No, just kidding.
Yeah, the bugs. But it's exactly what you said, which I was like, hey, Ashley and I are on the same page about it. Might be for me, it might be for us, it might be for the podcast, it might not, it might be for a different purpose, I don't know. But I don't need to know that right this second. All I need to know right at this second is that I want to record it. And then if tomorrow or Sunday or whatever, I'm like, yeah, post it, great. But I don't know that today. I wanted to force myself to be like, well, what am I going to talk about? And am I going to remove names? Because I don't, and I was like, whoa, time out. No, we're going to do our call between us. And then if it's meant to do something else, I'll know when I know. So that's where I got to, which was why Didn't do anything. I didn't do my hair. I was like, I don't know. This might literally just be for me to watch. And I don't need to do my hair, and I don't need to wear anything fancy or, I was like, that's not the purpose of this. So I was like, just sit your butt down and have your coaching call.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think that's the, it's something for you to pull on then to see, like, we had already decided that, but how quickly the ego can come back in and be like, yeah, but you still should really go into this, like, concretely knowing just in case, it's that false sense of certainty that you can never have, right? Like, even if you came into, let's say the decision was, this is only for Julie and only for Julie. Right? I'm not going to do anything else. And that was your full on decision. So now we've placed weight there. And what if, like, all of a sudden, your friend is over and your laptop is open and they start watching it, you have you have no control. And that's what I hear you saying is, like, I know today I'm supposed to show up. I feel that we're meant to hit record. I have no control what comes after this moment. And I actually don't have control in this moment other than, like, I know this is what's going to happen. Yeah. Because I feel it. Right. So it's just a reminder. Like, that noise in your head was just literally, like you said, noise.
Yeah, I got through it, but it was happening. And I was like, But, like, one thing I love that you've helped me with is not latching on. Because when the noise is there, because those stories are there, the words, the thoughts are there, and they're not, they'll get quieter over time, and they do, and they have, but they still come up, things still come up, and then but what I did was exactly what you said. I was walking, and I was like, well, if it's meant to go on the podcast, it'll go on the podcast. If it's not meant to go on the podcast, it won't go on the podcast. I don't know. I don't know what the purpose is. Or I went this far. I was like, or maybe we'll have this great conversation and she'll clip it and she'll only post that. Like, there's so many options here. I don't know. So, yeah. So that was good.
So what I hear you saying is that, because we've been taught to, like, I was talking to someone yesterday, and I think this, like, is so important for us to remember that, like, she was talking about going on this journey of becoming closer to the Holy Spirit, and we were talking about handling things, and she wants to handle them in a much more pleasant way. So, like, maybe either way, but we get confused because, like, Buddhists and stuff talk about when you're meditating to view the thoughts and let them go. And I think unless you've really experienced it, we think that means literally, like, push them out of your head and let them go. Not just, like, observe them and know they may not go anywhere. They may still just, like you still could have, till you were sitting here, had those questions. But like you said, you were like, maybe. It's like a little kid that, like, if we look at it as, like, little Julie, she's like, but I'm worried. And you're like, we got this. And she's still in the background being like, but should we do this or should we do that? And you're like, darling, it doesn't matter. Like, you're just in this loving space. But it's not about those, like you said, it's not about the chatter going away. It's about not connecting. That's about letting it go. And then knowing that even when I don't connect to it, it might still be there.
Not connecting with it and not going into overthinking about it, or, like, and that's what I mean, like, analyzing it and be like, well, maybe, even though I'm being open to, like, the maybes, but I'm not like, well, this, I want this more, I want this. It's just like, I don't know. No judgment. I really don't care. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm a little bit like, whatever feels right. I've had enough practice through what we've worked on. I've had enough practice that I'll know when I know. I don't know right now. I'll know when I know. And like I said, if it's today, tomorrow, Sunday, a month from now, And I get
20
like
years.
I've built up the intuitive connection enough to be like, it's not today. I can tell you right now, today, in this moment, I mean, I don't know if we're going to post it. I don't know.
Right.
In any form. What I do know is that I found it helpful for me, and so that's why we're doing it.
So we know we're recording it.
Yeah, so we know we're recording it. That's all I know.
Or we think we are. Like, I guess that's
Or
the
we
next
think we
thing.
are.
Yeah.
Well,
like
either way, but
to be.
I don't lose anything from it because you have a photographic memory and you make notes for me. So
Here goes the
either
story.
way, I get the notes
reflection.
no matter what.
Oh my goodness. Tears are funny. But I think it goes into the celebrating. Like, I think
Yes,
you're
it
talking
does.
about wanting to celebrate. And
Yes.
and it's like, you've set that in your mind. But then the ego's like, but do we really want to celebrate? So it's like, here's something to chew on. Here's a little,
Yeah. There's some noise.
chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's some noise for you, Julie. You think it's time to celebrate? And not like in a nasty manner, but in a fearful manner. The ego literally believes it will cease to exist. That mindset we've created, which is just like the intelligence, the way that came up, right? That was a mindset created to keep you safe. And we saw the fear that arose when we were realizing like, oh, we maybe don't believe that anymore.
Yeah. Right. I mean, so I think that will lead into, and I know, so just to do celebrations really quickly, it's really what I wrote in what did I want to talk about today, is that there have been, in the last week, so many connections, like loving, spirit-guided connections that just like built upon each other. And it just kept flowing, and then into the next one and into the next day. And I just feel like, I do feel like a little lighthouse walking around where people are like, what is her deal? Like, what is her deal? What's going on with her? And then, which I'll share one example, but, and then also, like I said, about just feeling so abundant in all things and just not, like I said, not needing to improve anything. I'm like, I'm good.
But
On
not
all
even
fronts.
you improved you, but like, not all fronts. I love
On
that.
all fronts. I'm just like, I'm good. And it's like, that's what I was laughing at myself. I'm like, maybe that's what contentment is.
True joy.
Yeah,
Peace.
right. So those are the celebrations. But this one example, I think, is so... it just showed me all the things. So my friend Rohan was here last week, and he has a friend who he wanted to introduce me to, who works and has a healthcare... He's in the healthcare space, and he's building an app, and he has funding and blah, 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 whatever all the details are. But Rohan, this is a friend I've known for 8 years, and I trust him. He said he thinks I would connect with this person, and so we met with him. His name's Andy. So we met with Andy on Friday. And Andy walks in to the restaurant right here. We were in Oxford, just around the corner from my place. And he walks in, and I stood up to, because I'm a corporate girl, and I stood up to shake his hand.
Sorry.
No, it was cute.
I can't wait for the day that you don't stand up and shake anyone's hand.
I wanted to, though, because I wasn't going to hug him. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm going to shake his hand. But he grabs my hand, and he's looking at me. And so this is the first time I've ever met him. I didn't know. Brian didn't even tell me really anything about him, other than he's got this healthcare app, blah, blah, blah.
And you should meet him.
And then you should meet him. Let's get together. So when Rohan's there with us, so it's the three of us. And Andy grabs my hand, and he's, oh, so nice to meet you. And he's looking at me, and he goes, I've met you before. And I I looked at him, and he's darling. I mean, he's just so cute. And I was like, I said, I get that a lot. I don't know why. I go, maybe I just look like someone. I don't know. I don't know. But he just like kept holding my hand, and he's like, we've met. And I didn't, you know me, you know this, you and I know this. I was like, time doesn't exist. And so in my head, I'm like, time doesn't exist. So we've obviously met because we have met. And anyway, we just went on to have a 2-hour kind of mind-blowing conversation, because I think we're so connected, and like he's being guided by his purpose and helping people and all the things, and it's not businessy. It's more like God. We didn't talk about God, but he's so passionate about it. It's like the gardener conversation.
I was just thinking the gardener just came to my head.
It's like that. And so he's telling me his thing, and then he's like, but I want to know your story. So Ashley, you're going to die. So I tell him my background and stuff, and working in healthcare, and how I'm again, it's the what story are you telling yourself versus what do you believe? So this is so interesting. So I'm telling him about my healthcare background and how I transitioned into coaching and all that stuff. And I told him, because Rohan was there too, that one of the things that changed was when I was working at a consulting company, and I was unhappy with it, and I was ready for a change, and I was forcing myself to stay for the money, for the title, for the whatever. I told him, I don't think I've ever said these words. I told him I started drinking all day. I would get on calls because it was COVID, right? And so I was home. Well, I said even when I was traveling, I was drinking like in excess, because although I enjoyed the people and I enjoyed some aspects of it. So I told him I was like, I noticed my alcohol was like starting to go through the roof. And I said, and then COVID hit, and what I really noticed was that I started drinking during the day in order to get through these calls, because I didn't want to do it, and I was making myself do it. And I'm telling you, when I tell you, like, that was not planned. I don't think I've ever shared it like that, unless it was like you and me, or a friend, like a close friend, or my sister. And it just spilled out of my mouth. And it didn't feel weird. Like, it didn't, I didn't even think anything of it until Rohan came back here with me to my apartment, and he goes, you never told me that happened, or that you felt that way about your job and that you're drinking. He goes, I know we've talked about he's like, you were always like cleansing and trying to manage your alcohol.
90 days off, 30
He goes,
days
I know
off.
that. He goes, I know that. He goes, but and he looked at me, he goes, you didn't ever tell me that. And it hit me, because I was like, I just told this stranger, who's not a stranger, obviously, but.
Right.
So it really, I think, showed me a couple things. One is that story, and about alcohol in my life is definitely unwinding, and has been, but in a way where I would just share it like that with no
Shame and guilt.
shame. Yeah, well, with I won't say no shame, but like it didn't stop
Sounds
me
like
from
no
sharing
shame.
it.
It sounds like no
was just
shame.
like-
Maybe your look back had shame, but it sounds like in the moment there was no shame.
Yeah. And Andy, the guy, we had this beautiful conversation. And again, back to like the other point I wanted to tell you was, at the end of our conversation, and he's like, well, I'd like to connect with you and hear what you think. And I'd love to have you on our board, or whatever it winds up being. It doesn't, that's to be determined. But I said to him, maybe this conversation was all that this will be, because I got to share my experience, my perspective, and you got to share your vision for your company. And and I said, and if this is all it is, it was wonderful. And I said, I don't feel that way. I feel like we are gonna, probably stay connected and whatever. I said, but even if that's all it is, it was wonderful and I'm grateful for it. So like the no outcome mindset. And that was also kind of new to me, in that I was like, I went into it thinking, okay, am I gonna offer to like help him in some way? Am I gonna with my healthcare background, am I gonna connect him? What am I gonna do with this? And I just went into it with this, like, I don't know what it'll be, but at a minimum, it can be this beautiful connection, and that's enough, and that might be it. And it felt so good. I just have to tell, I'm so excited. We walk out of the restaurant. He put his arm around me and hugged me. And I was just like, when do you have a business meeting with a man that you've never met before? This is my thing. And that he felt so, he's like, this was the most wonderful, amazing conversation. I feel so good. And I was like, I'm on cloud 9 right now. So that's my example of what happened with, like you said, integrating, I think, all of these, just receiving and being open to the connection and whatever it is. I don't know what it's going to be. Although he did, so back to the intelligence thing. He did compliment me. He's like, God, you're so. He said something like, "You're really very smart or intelligent or something." And I was like, "Yes, I am." So I still latched onto that.
You're like, you'll still take that breadcrumb.
I'll still take that compliment. And I was like, "Thank you." So anyway. That was my example to share with you, that I was just like, it just felt so, it had all the elements of a lot of things. Because even Rohan said, he's like, after you left, I told him that you don't want to talk about compliance and you don't want to talk about privacy. And he was like protecting me. And I was like, thank you, but I'm okay. But I'm okay either way. It's okay. Oh, it was pretty cute. So yeah, so I'm going to probably talk to Andy and we'll see where life goes. But it was wonderful. It was a wonderful connection. And I feel really good about it.
I mean, it's like you said, it's literally a representation of like so many things you've been working through. I think the alcohol piece. Yeah. Like, I just want you, because you started to be, some shame. But, like, no, Julie. Like, there doesn't have to be any shame, because it's only the shame with the look back. If it's spilled out of you like that, and I'm guessing, and maybe I shouldn't guess, I should ask, did you have a glass of wine while you were there, or a drink? Were you drinking while you told him this?
No.
No, you didn't. So you were even like, this vulnerable, like, right. So, like, you didn't have, what people would say, liquid courage, stuff just felt like there was nothing of that. But even if, let's say, you did have wine, then we could look at the shame of, like, you were currently in her, like, there's so many different, it fell out of you.
Yeah.
Despite all the stories that could have held it in, especially because you weren't there to have a heart connection conversation. According to the world.
Not necessarily.
You were there. Yeah, you were there to show your intelligence.
My healthcare expertise.
Your expertise, right? And so, do you see, like, the compliance officer in you? We asked her to come forward. But she allowed that to slip out. Ooh, is she changing?
I mean, like I said, and I know because it didn't really register with me. I just shared it. And
Just
then
was
when
like
Rohan
part of the, it just
pointed
was.
it out later afterwards, and he's like, "You never told me that." And I was like, "Really? Are you sure?" And he was like, "Yeah, you didn't tell it to me like that." And I was like, "Okay." I said,
You
"I'll be
couldn't.
honest with you. I don't think that I've shared it like that with anyone except maybe my coach."
No.
So
No, I don't even think you've shared it like that.
with
So I think
you,
that's the piece, Julie. You've shared it with me, but it
yeah.
was with like heaviness, right? Like you didn't, it wasn't heavy. And maybe that is the difference. Remember peanut butter jelly. So yeah,
Yeah.
you probably shared something like that with
Yeah.
Rohan, just like you did with me.
Probably.
But because the intention behind it wasn't filled with shame and guilt, it felt so different, just like this loving, like, this was just a
Yeah.
part of my
This
life
is
and a
what
part of my
happened.
journey.
Yeah, this was, and I even said to them that it was important. It was important that that was part of the journey because it showed me where I wasn't listening to myself because I was numbing. I had to do something to get through. I wanted to get out of that field, and I wasn't allowing myself to listen. And so that's how, to some degree, I noticed it through the fact that I'm like, okay, if you have to have a glass of wine to get on this phone call, like there's something going on here. And it's 10 a.m. or whatever. So it was so, I don't know. We talked about a lot of things in 2 hours, of course, but it just felt really relevant to where he's trying to go with his business, and he wants to see transformation, and he wants human connection more, and like use AI, blah blah blah, all the things. I don't know, but it was just so interesting that like you said, I just shared it, and I was like, and this was an important part of my journey for me to understand myself. And
like
it's okay. And no one said anything other than, wow, well, that's great that you figured that out. Like, that was kind of it.
So even your reflection was beautiful. It didn't make an awkward interaction or,
not at all. No, not at all.
So it's just, again, so beautiful too, that you had the noise beforehand, just like you did before this call, of trying to at least have a sense of certainty of what you're okay with, right? Because that's what you kind of did coming as,
prepare myself.
Yeah, a sense of certainty, like, okay, well, if I offer him, I can offer him this much money. You know what I mean? Like, if he says this correctly, like to make a barometer, to make a judgment barometer. How am I going to judge this conversation to make an outcome? And you're like, we're not going to do anything but receive what is here, which is this massive connection. And like you said, time doesn't exist. So yes, this was already, like, you already have met because you did, you know what I mean? Like all the things.
Yeah.
But what if where you're sharing from, like, completely shifts everything within him and you never talk again, right? Like, I would even be careful. Like, I know you feel this, like, okay, I feel like it, but just like even be careful with, until I'm actually on the call with him, not even to get into those stories, because
like
that's how the ego will, because that's how the ego will get sneaky of like, well, you felt like it, Julie, but now you're not, like, you know what I mean? Like, you've experienced this before. Because
and obligation, or an obligation now that I've met him and he's Rohan's friend, and I'm Rohan's friend, and so therefore do I owe it to him to like follow through? Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that.
So just an invitation there, like, still today you're not talking to him. So in this moment,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what comes together. Yeah, no,
But
for
how
sure. But it
beautiful.
was beautiful. It was so beautiful, and I just felt. I literally left there, and I went to get my toes done, and they walked away, and went a different direction, and we're talking. But I went to see this lady that I haven't seen since last year in Oxford to get my toes done, and she goes, "You're glowing." She goes, and because she knows me. I mean, I've seen her a couple times, meaning just like running into the salon, but I haven't spent time with her this year and until that day. And she's like, "You're glowing. What's going on?" And so I told her, some of that, and it was just so amazing to have like she knows me she knows me a little bit, and I don't know, to have like a reflection, like a girlfriend reflection right after it happened. Because yes, I felt great, and yes, all the things, but then to have her say like, "You're glowing, can't stop smiling, you are like," she's like, "I can feel it." She's like, "I can feel your energy." It was so amazing. And I was like, "Yay, I'm so glad." Yeah, it was good. It was a good day.
Well, because it's the connection. I mean, it's like you said at the beginning, you felt like you were walking around this little lighthouse and people being like, "What the hell's going on with that lady?
What's going on with her? And why do I recognize her?"
Right, because it's like we talked about, you had that beautiful representation of your mom, telling you that she saw you waiting for you, and not that like you have become Jesus, but if we become the vessel for God to work through and people experience that, then they will begin to, they don't know it, but they're correlating us to that because they can receive it through us. And it can be very stark either way. Like your mom felt safe and comfortable because she knows you. Mm-hmm. Other people, right, like could feel like, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" And you know what I mean? Like it can provoke either a wanting to disconnect or connect. And that's why, like, I think, they talk about how Jesus can't perform miracles in his own hometown because they cannot, like, it pushes them the other side to feel the love of God through him because they knew him when he was little. They know him at a point where they didn't feel that. You know what I mean? So it's this grappling with that. But that's, and then what happens is you're in this state of the oneness, and you said like she doesn't know you, but that's what the ego wants to tell us. But the truth is, in that moment, she knows you more than she knows it. Like, you know what I mean? But she doesn't know that per se.
No.
But like, you literally were representing what she knows the most.
Yeah, what she said was, I just love seeing beauty and love, and I see that. Like that's how she phrased it. Like, I can see love in you. You're loving this, like, people that you were just with, and she said, and it's so beautiful, and I just love seeing it, and that's really how she expressed it. But it felt so good to have, like I said, have an actual reflection back at me of how I was feeling, because I felt it. I was like, I can't stop smiling. I feel like
You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get wrinkles.
My cheeks hurt.
I get smile.
My cheeks hurt. And she was just like, it's so beautiful. I can see you're so in love. Like, you're feeling so much love and joy. And I was like, I am, and I do.
You're like, I'm gonna explode.
I am. I'm like, I am. And thanks for participating with me in this. It was fun. It was a beautiful day. My gosh. Yeah. And that was just one day, one example. There's been like a series of those kinds of interactions here in the last week with even people I didn't like, just strangers I sat out on Sunday at Rose and
No
Crown.
strangers. No one's a stranger.
Well,
But
they're
yes.
not strangers, but you know what I mean. Hadn't met them previously. And I just invited people to sit down and chatted, and they were so sweet. It was just so many. So many. It was just like, that's what I mean. It felt like a snowball of like, I couldn't stop smiling, and I couldn't stop attracting people to come and sit with me and talk to me and like share love. It was great. It is great. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. That's why we're celebrating today.
You know what? Like, you know me, songs or random stories pop in my head when I hear us say
for
something.
sure.
But this song is playing in the back of my head now while you're talking.
What is it?
It's like, and it open my heart to the love, Lord. I have to find it because it's playing, but I can't speak it out. But it's about opening your heart to the love of God, and that's why I feel like that's what you're like talking about. What you're experiencing, that you've opened your heart, and now it's just like pouring. Because it's never, we talk about like God never shuts off the faucet. You create a dam. And the problem is it's like a flowing, like you said, you're feeling the abundance. It's a flowing faucet of the Holy Spirit just flowing out. So when that barrier gets removed, like you can't not prickle people. And let's use that word for what that is. It means movement. So prickle is not necessarily bad. Prickle is you cannot, like, you're provoking movement in people. And if we think of like the Holy Spirit and how a lot of churches refer to, like, you've seen people, they pass out and all this stuff, whatever. There's a lot of controversy about that. But they always say it's the movement of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Because they feel it, and maybe that's how their body has to not have a pee your pants moment, right? Like they feel out of control, so maybe that's how their body responds. But that's like you are like being a vessel, you're being moved, so you're moving others.
Yeah. Through my smile. I guess.
No, I mean, because there's days you probably smiled at that dog that day and its owner to try to rectify the situation. Yeah, but behind the smile was not. There was a dam, so it was a dark smile. It was not a light smile.
I know. Yeah.
I'm gonna send you that.
Yeah, I want to know what song is it.
Yeah, because I'm sucking at the words. Like, I'm not even saying them in order.
That's
But when you can hear a song playing in your head, but you can't articulate it out.
Of course. Yeah, no, it's fine. You can send it to me. Yeah. So, I think that's, I mean, I have so many examples, but I just feel like it sums up.
But you wanted to celebrate. Happening. So you don't have to stop. If you want more, share more.
Okay, I have one more that I want to share because I know you did. I have one more. So on Sunday, my cleaning lady that works for the landlord, she's out of the country, so her sister has been coming for a couple of weeks, and they're from Brazil, and they don't speak English. But the one that I just learned how to say her name is Tashi. But so a week prior, so this was last Sunday, but the week prior, she got her on Google Translate and she was like, I want to learn how to speak English. And I said, let's practice together when you come. So anyway, she comes on Sunday. I'm just sitting here. I was watching a podcast, I think. And she comes in and she was so like excited. And she's waving at me, like, to get my attention, like, like, come look at me or
look
whatever.
Look at me.
Look at me. And she goes, hi, my name is Tashi. I was like, so I got on my phone and typed on Google Translate, like, I said, I'm so proud of you for practicing English with me. And she was in my room doing something, or in the other room, and I walked in there and showed her the phone, and she started crying and hugged me And then that was it. And then we were on Google Translate and saying different things, and like, it's hot. And the word for in Portuguese is cale, I think. And like, we were doing a little bit back and forth. And then at the very end, I was going to leave and get out of the way so she could, do what she needed to do. And she gets her thing, and it said, "Do you like to read books?" And I was like, yeah, definitely. And then she wrote, I have a book for you. I will bring it next week. So I don't know if it's in Portuguese. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but nonetheless. But I walked out of here. That was the day that I said I went and sat at Rose and Crown and I met all these people. Because
same thing. That was the day.
That was that day that I had this experience with her, and she was so emotional because I said, "I'm so proud of you." And I didn't tear up, but I felt so full of pride for her, oh my God, she like trusts me and was willing to like try and be vulnerable and speak English with me. And then I went out, and then therefore I was like, again, bursting with love, and I was like, "Come sit with me. Here, there's seats available." It's crazy. Oh my God, it was so good. So, Tashi and her sister is Fabiana, who's also wonderful. But they both, when I met them, they both were like, "No English." And I was like, "Oh God, what am I going to do with this? Like, what am I going to do with no English?" But we obviously worked through it.
But I think, okay, so beautiful. But we have to highlight how this actually started. Not so beautiful. Like, I think we need to reflect on that. Like, and it's a direct I think it shows us again that when we, what was the statement? Like, peace is on the other side of discomfort. And not that we need to seek discomfort, but it's this knowingness that, like, when we really feel prickled about something, that's a story that the ego doesn't want us to release. So, like, originally this started with, times of your cleaning lady randomly showing up, and then you wanting to, like, have a firm time, right? Or not firm, but, like, a firm knowingness of what time, because she was just randomly showing up, and then she couldn't speak English, and you were frustrated, and you didn't even think about using Google Translate. And then all of a sudden you got to this space of, like, relief. Like, you did voice notes, I think, that day, right? Like, you did some voice notes, and then you're like, "Oh my God, I could use Google Translate." So then you could communicate, but then it wasn't over yet. Then all of a sudden, like, you wanted to text her, and the landlord was like, "Oh, she's out of the country. Can her husband or some guy come?" I can't remember if it was her husband or whatever.
Yeah, her husband.
And you're like, "Hell no." Like, you didn't say those words, but you were like, "Oh my God." So another barrier, like the cleaning situation coming up. But because you said no, which we could go into so many stories of, like, well, how dare they, but it was using your preferences. If you would not have said no, I bet the sister never would have come. Right? And I bet, like, it could have gone so many different ways. But if we see the trajectory of your openness, then she came. And because you already had battled through, like, the language piece, right? Because she immediately was like, speak. Because I'm sure English. They get tons of frustrated people that treat them like crap. So that's their immediate go-to. But because you had already worked through that over here, you were able to provide a different environment that she, like you literally said, you were like, "Oh my gosh, she was willing, she felt safe, she trusted me," all these things. But it was you had to work through some stories before you could be this safe space for her. Because could you imagine if she showed up way back when you were irritated about people randomly coming?
No, because I was frustrated about the no English. I'm like, can you work with me? Can you work with me at all? Like, on, hi, how are you? Like, something. And I was going to do it also. I'm like, what language? I said to her, this was just this last week, though. And I said, is it Italiano, Espanol?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, Portuguese. And I was like, okay. Because I didn't even know what language to try to use with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to try. But I was, when I got like this, literally like talk about the quote about seek not love, but seek for the barriers. That was a barrier.
She was like, it literally says barrier on her hand.
No English. And I was like, there's this person coming in my home that I'm trusting to be in my home, and I can't even communicate with her. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. But we got over it, and now I love her to death. Like, not to death. Sorry, that's a bad phrase, but I love her to pieces or whatever.
But think of it, like you said, it's a literal barrier that was placed up because we believe that words matter. And they're actually symbols twice removed. And you've had some back and forth on Google Translate with her, but not enough for her to feel, according to the ego rules, feel like she knows you enough to feel safe to like practice her English. You know what I mean? Like all those rules. But because you guys went past the words, you used them because you felt you needed to a little bit. But it was the deeper connection is where the communication is actually happening. It's just the words because there's no way. Like I know Google Translate and like you can't it's like having a conversation with a 2-year-old is like the maximum you can have with one another.
That's what I thought. And I did, but when I want to say that when I said to her the words that I've used, a friend of mine who's a coach, also Karen, she's the person who started saying that with me. This was years ago, before maybe when I started coaching or whatever. She used to say to me, I'm so proud of you. And I remember how much it like hit me that I was like, this is my dear friend who loves me, but using that phrase, I don't know. It really hit me. So when this happened, when she did, hi, my name is Tashi, that's what I heard and that's what I felt. And I'm like, I just need to tell her. Like, I want to tell her, I'm so proud of you. And she started crying. And I was like, so yes, I got that, their words, but in this way, I think it was the words that brought us together. And then that was it. And then she was telling me, and then she was on her phone and showing me other stuff and telling me she's going to bring me a book. And I'm like so excited to see her on Sunday because I'm like, what can we talk about? What can we talk about this week?
But it's not the words that brought, I know you feel that way. And the reason I'm going to share this, because the word proud is not received by me that way. It immediately brings up stories of like, of condescending because of my experience. And so if I were to have told her I was proud, what was behind that would not, like, there would have been a disconnect from love. But because it's the use of peanut butter jelly, you were in the state of love, and how Julie feels that is the word pride, which is exactly why you paired up with her in that moment, because she also receives it in that manner. Do you see what I'm saying? But like,
I do.
So that's how like our preferences are used. That's how words are used. That's how activities are used, is not for the actual thing, but it's for the feeling behind us, and then us trusting that what words feel right, that align with us in that moment, are what is meant to be said. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I just like invite, because like one day you could feel the same way and you could feel called to say a completely different thing, and you'd be like, but pride sounds so much better. Later you could do a look back and be like, I should have told that person I was proud of them. But that's you just believing that they would have received that was the word they needed to receive. Do you see what I'm saying? When really but it was perfect. Like literally that
it worked.
Experience,
it was the right the right
you had with Karen,
but
was
I felt it.
Yeah, because you felt it.
Yeah, I felt
And
it,
then when
and
you,
I felt those words, and well, like you said, it resonates with me, or it did, from Karen,
yeah, from
maybe
way
not
long
from
ago. Look at
others,
that seed was planted
years and
forever
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah,
Years
for that
ago.
moment.
And I still, yeah, but that's been our relationship too. She's been a great coach for me as a friend, and I don't know. It wasn't for. It didn't. I don't know why I'm explaining that, because it wasn't about that. It was just what I had, this overwhelming feeling of like, I'm so proud of you, and I need to tell you
Right.
that you were willing to be vulnerable, and I didn't use those words, and just practice with me, because I invited her to practice with me last week, and so she did it, and I'm like,
So did she go home and
yeah.
practice then, or?
She has Duolingo. I asked her, I said,
Okay.
how are you
Learning.
practicing? And she showed me on her phone Duolingo. And I was like, good. Okay, good.
Wow.
And I said, I know the other thing I said to her. I said, it was so good. I just said in English, so good. And she repeated it back to me, so good. And I said, yes, so good. And just smiled and nodded at her. And she was like, oh, she was so happy. Like she did it. Like she got it, you know? Oh, it was so sweet.
That you can connect. I mean, it's another representation. Like, it has nothing to do with the form, but you guys had such a deep level connection to the flow. That's why you went outside to the picnic and you were just flowing still. Because I thought when you brought up the picnic table that was like the same time of the nails and stuff. But this is a different day.
No, it was a different day. It was 2 days later. It was 2 days after that, but that was the prompt, I think, for again, it like opened, like you said, it's like it just kept opening and opening, and I was like, I'm gonna go sit out here, and I was sitting out there by myself because it was like 3:00, and then but people started coming, like 4:00, and as it got a little later, and I was at a big table for 6 people, so I was like, you can come with me, come sit with me. And it was just so fun, actually. It was so fun.
How was that received?
Oh, great. No, they were thrilled. They're like, oh, great. Thank you. Yeah. No, and I mean, it was great. And I literally saw, so I had 2 different groups. The first group came through, had a drink. They left. I'm still there because I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just hanging out. It's such a beautiful day. And another group of these 4 gentlemen came, and they were standing there, and I could see they're like looking around to see if there was any space, available. And I said the same thing. I'm like, come sit down. I'm probably going to go soon, so you can have this table. And they sat down, and it was 2 British guys, a Canadian and an American. And they were here. This was so interesting, I have to tell you. This was so interesting. I'm like, well, why are you in Oxford or whatever? And they're like, oh, we're here for a conference. We are 19th century historians. And they're here for a conference, because it's summer now, school's out, the regular school's out. So they're here for a conference. And I said to one of the guys, I go, oh my God, that is so interesting. Like, what is it? What's appealing about the 19th century to you? Like, what is it about that? And he goes, I don't know if anyone's ever asked me that. He goes, that is a great question.
Wow,
like, seriously,
that's crazy.
He's like, that's such a great question. Because I'm like, what interests you about that? And I don't think and then people were talking about we were talking about other things. But anyway, I don't think I got a full answer, but it doesn't matter. I was like, 19th century historians? This is why I'm in Oxford. Because this is the kind of interactions that happen where you get to meet the most interesting people that are studying things that you're just like, whoa, how did that happen? Why did that happen? What are you doing with that? So it was cool. It was really cool.
Well, in the pieces, it's like that's where the body that Julie needs to be right now, because that's where her connections lie. Because someone could be like in a completely different, and I know you had amazing connections in Florida too when your time was there. And it's like now we see that, like, it's just so glaring if you really just like take the observer's seat of how spirit uses our preferences for these, like, to guide us as the little guide along the journey. And preferences meaning to, like, are not like the opposite, like just that coin period, what we like and what we don't like guides us. Like, think of the day we were in Amsterdam, Julie, and I really wanted gluten-free. I wanted pizza bad, but gluten-free was the key, remember? So we were walking down streets asking people and looking at their menu, and we saw the gluten-free, and then we left and walked down the street and we're like, let's go back. Yeah. And then you have, with that guy, the amazing connection there with our waiter and just like the atmosphere and everything. But it had literally the same menu as the other 20 places we looked at, except for he literally was like, no, we have homemade gluten-free crust. Yeah. Remember? Like, it was literally...
And we can get it for you. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not iffy. Like, it's not everyone. We were like, can you really?
Yeah. We're like, do you really make it? Or is this like store-bought?
Yeah. And he did. And it was perfect. It was amazing. All of it.
So
the whole experience was amazing.
You to Oxford. Yeah. But then, like, you to Oxford, your preference was to do a school. And then remember, you applied to,
Stanford.
Like Stanford. I always want to say Harvard every time. But then Stanford. This came into your awareness.
Yeah.
And what's the chances that you have that picture from way back wearing an Oxford sweatshirt saying you're going to go to Oxford one day?
Yeah.
And they happen to have the same program that you've wanted to go to at Stanford for, like, I think, 11 years or something? You had
couple years
saw it like in And so, like, it's so intricately moving. Like the conversation with Andy. Rohan would have never had you have a conversation with a guy if you don't have a history.
Yeah, right.
In the healthcare field, right? I mean, what would be he wouldn't be like, oh, so. Ashley, here, come meet this Andy guy.
Right. No, exactly. Well, and I remember it was so funny when he, just to say this part to you, when Rohan first told me about it weeks ago, and like I said, I had a barrier because he's like, it's healthcare, and he is developing this app, and it's about privacy of information and like getting people to share information, and there's privacy stuff and there's compliance stuff, and I remember thinking, when he told me, I was like, we were just on the phone, and if he had seen my face, I was probably like, no thanks. Like, I'm sure that my face was probably doing the like, And I go, okay. I just was like, and then because I put it off, and I was like, well, we'll see if it happens or doesn't happen, right? And then he's like, I'm going to come out. Rohan said he's going to come out here because he has a different business than he needed to be in Oxford. And he's like, and I'm going to see if Andy wants to meet with us. And I'm like, okay.
Oh God, that was the one I was
I'm like, here we go again. I'm like, okay, here we go again. I'm going to go have this something with this person and talk about healthcare that I don't really want to talk about. And I just opened my mind to, I was like, hey, this is his friend. He's my friend. I love him. I trust him. If he thinks we're going to connect, then we're going to go. And that was it. And and then that was it. And I'm like, whether it's a full-on healthcare conversation or a compliance, then I'll be honest and be like, that's just not really what I'm doing anymore. But maybe I have people. I know people. So yes, my mind was like, let me run through some scenarios here. And then I went,
to be prepared.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, be like, okay, I can connect him with people. I can this and that. Outcome, like I don't even know what he wants or thinks, and yet I'm trying to figure out the outcome. And yet, it was so much more than that. I don't even know how to say it. It was so much more than that. And we talked about the healthcare aspects, but yeah.
At the beginning of the call, you said, well, I don't know. I think mainly the highlight was in the celebrations piece. Yeah, in the celebrations piece really was like you're feeling the full abundance. And so I want to highlight, because so often like that word abundance, we get tied to a lot of times like the money piece, but I know that's not necessarily what you're thinking, but also like just the love piece. And so I just wanted to highlight, like, true abundance is always having exactly what you need for spirit to navigate you through the experiences, waiting for opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That means everything. So your knowledge of healthcare was falls under the abundance, because it's exactly what you needed for that interaction. So it's that fully trusting, like you said, that everything is being used to guide you to an experience that you don't need to know the outcome, and you may never know the outcome, and you don't need to create the outcome, but you trust, like, oh my gosh, so I have this. And so it goes the opposite too. Like if all of a sudden you want to do something really, really bad in your head, but like you don't have whatever it takes, right? Like let's say you want to become an opera singer, but I know this is really extreme, but you're going to the Phantom of the Opera, so it popped in my head.
I am.
Let's say you want to become like an opera singer, and you try and try and try, and you're just told your voice just really is not up to par. Like we can't even get it there. And you try so many different things, which is fine. You were always going to try those, but you start to feel shame and guilt that you're not good enough, and that you feel this, I want to be an opera singer, so that's what I should be. But the truth is, if you're meant to be the opera singer, you would have everything you needed in that moment to be the opera singer.
Well, and it does also connect with the intelligent leader that we talked about on I guess it was on Lighthouse, right? Or on my last coaching call. I don't remember which. About being
it was a little leader. Both. It started from our one-on-one, and then we talked more about it in Lighthouse, I think.
Like the persona of that. And but to your point, that was part of, I think, why the conversation, like you said, yes, my healthcare background and expertise, but also being like, because it got reflected back, like, wow, you're really he didn't use the word leader, but like you're really good at listening and then succinctly kind of coming back with like, this is what I heard, and this is what I am getting from you, and this is what I think, and I can summarize. Like that's something I was grappling with in the last week or two as well, of like being too succinct and not being too succinct, but being succinct and not allowing myself to kind of tell my story. But it is a strength that I have honed to be a succinct leader and be able to do just that, like to say to somebody, which I even told them, I go, my coach has me do a 60-second recap, and I usually hate it, but you know why I hate it? Because I've had to do it for so long. Like I'll take all the information and wrap it up and summarize it and then come and reflect it back to you. And people appreciate that. But for some reason, when she asks me to do it about myself and about my conversation about me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. But anyway, to the point of like, that was a part of this, was like being acknowledged for being a leader, and but also that skill that I have developed was part of it, and it needed to be part of it, that he saw me that way, and that, my resume shows you that I worked in healthcare, fine. But it's so much more than that.
But the catcher with that is then now believing that skill is necessary all the time.
Yeah, right. No, I get it.
Because that's what we latch on to. Because that's then the moments where...
Well, I think that's what I mean. Succinct. I have been latched onto it. that I have to be that way, that I have to not ramble on, that I have to make my point here and literally be so in tune and hear every aspect of everything and be able to summarize it and whatever, reflect it back. And it's like, well, sometimes maybe that's not going to happen, but I have not allowed myself to even be that person. I've been like, nope, you better tune in because this is who you are.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. So it was good, but that's what I mean by that experience with those two gentlemen were like, it encompassed so many things that we've talked about or that we talk about. And like, it just is like this, if you have a little package with a bow on it, it had all of them. And they're so cute. And they're both so cute.
And they're so
It was so fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, it's such, because even in that conversation, you had it reflected back how that's an amazing strength. And if you didn't have the awareness, that would have just reiterated that I need to continue to stay connected to this. Because look at this guy just told me.
Yeah.
And
totally.
and if I listen to, let's just say Ashley, my coach, saying like, oh, I need to allow myself to be streamed more, I wouldn't have connected with him. But it's the point, like, of you seeing that, like you just said,
yeah,
wow, this was a tool used in this moment.
Yeah.
And it may not be used in this moment. It's kind of like I talk about, like when we're excavating, dinosaur bones, like the shovel does a really good job at the beginning. But if you don't have the ability to move to the next tool, you're going to ruin all the bones. Like, just because it worked good in this scenario doesn't mean it's meant for the next scenario. And it's the openness, the flow of not judging yourself if the tool switches.
Well, and that's, I think, what we talked about last time around politics was I was attached to that identity of being intelligent about that topic because so many people in this world care about that topic, even though I really don't. Or maybe I do. I know that's the other takeaway, was maybe I do care about it. I don't know. But in this moment, I feel like I don't care about it. But I had this identity that was like, this is such a big deal to a lot of people in the world. And I have to be the intelligent leader. I have to be that. Or I can't have a different view. I can't have this like laissez-faire. Is that the word? Laissez-faire? Whatever. Lackadaisical, whatever the word is. Attitude about it. I can't be that. That's what I think came up last time, and I felt so uncomfortable about it because I was like, I can't just be like, what? I don't care about that. I'm not going to talk about that. I can't be that person. That's not who I am. But it started opening our conversation, started opening that up for me and Lighthouse of, well, wait a minute. I don't have to be the expert on politics or care about it if that's not my truth. If that's not God's plan path for me, then no, you don't have to spend time on it at all. But it was owning that. It was like owning that and saying that was what was causing so much discomfort. I'm like, well, oh my God, I've lived my life as being the intelligent leader, let's call it. And now I'm like, nope, I'm not going to be that in this situation. And it was really uncomfortable and I didn't like it for the moment. But I think I told you on Lighthouse, I felt much lighter even I had a conversation about politics recently and I was like, what if? It's fine. Because I I'm not attached to it. I'm like,
Well,
okay, you can think what you think, and I'll think what I think.
right. And that's the key is like detail. I mean, what comes to my mind, Julie, is what you coach people through is transitions. And one of the biggest things is like, I went to college for all these years, and now you're telling me like, you know, I'm a neuroscientist. Let's say I'm just like doing extreme, and now I'm going to become, I want to go be a baker. Like that, like what? That completely goes against like everything. You know, all my money, where my money went into college, all these things. And it's the same exact premise. This is a transition, but the piece with what we're talking about is it's not about then identifying as the baker and getting yourself to switch there. It's about releasing the identity of the neuroscientist and just not having an identity other than a vessel for God to work through. And so really that's what you're doing is you're releasing all the identities. And so that at any given moment you can be used, because like your conversation with Andy, beautiful, connecting. But if we looked at the words and the purpose at the level of form was much different than the conversation with the nail lady, but they felt the same.
True. They did.
Right. But the tool, it's not that you changed as a person. It's that the tools for that connection you allowed God, the Spirit, to use that needed to be for them to understand. And then if we keep going, right, your communication at the level of form with the random people that showed up to the table looked much different from Andy and the nail person. And then your communication with Tashi, the cleaning lady, much different than those people. But there's one thread the same, is when you share about it, you just share about the love and the light that poured through all of them.
True.
So really, that's the goal, is to have the only identity be that of the vessel, of which I know you know this. I'm just like reiterating the vessel.
I need you. I want you to. Yeah, no, I want
for
you to.
connection. And I feel like that's what you were feeling this last week. You weren't allowing you weren't, I don't know what the right word is. You weren't showing up as anything specific, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think, and all those interactions, some more obvious than the others, I had no expectations or feeling of like you said, I don't have to show up a certain way because I'm just showing up because of whatever. Just
because God has you there.
Up. Yeah, because I'm supposed to be, and that's it. And there's nothing I don't have to do, and I need to do nothing. I don't have to do anything except listen and see what goes, see what happens.
Yeah, just observe this lady. That's Julie. So, you know, like, what just came up to you is super connector. Remember the other day we were talking.
Yeah.
You know, you and I were talking about like the course needs a woman, and I was talking about how like all the women always start out a way, and then it becomes something to do with making a better dream. So like super connector, or super attractor are literally the same thing, but what we've done is we've taught ourselves it's about for self gain, right? Be a super attractor so you can attract the money, the jobs, the thing for self gain. But literally, Julie, what you just shared, all of your celebrations, is you were a super attractor, super connector for God. Because none of it was about personal gain. Yeah, maybe things will be gained as the person of Julie because of it, but that was never your intention behind any of those connections. You, like you said, you did not have an agenda. That's the Holy Grail, is to live every day like that. The super attractor for God.
It's a good Thank you for writing my 60-second recap. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I feel that for sure. Yeah, it's a good
Because you even,
example, right?
oh, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good
No,
example
go ahead.
of staying in the moment, and like you said, I like how you said not having an agenda, no expectations, open to whatever the connection is and for whatever purpose. And in each one of those moments with those different interactions, I was like, it'll be what it is. It might be this one conversation. It might be more than this one conversation. Or the people out on the street. I didn't. And again, I had no agenda when I went out to sit and have a glass of wine. I had no agenda. I was just sitting out in the sun. That's it. I wasn't doing anything. And then people were showing up, and I was like, sit down, and we had some beautiful conversations, and I was thrilled. I'm like, great, this is great. But I literally had no agenda except to have a glass of wine. That was my only agenda. Yeah, so it's a good reiteration of that. Yes.
So I keep hearing you say this, and I think it's because the ego could potentially want to use it against you in a moment.
All right.
Because I was reading something the other day about, I was reading this new book that I think it's pretty good so far. I'll tell you what it is when I can remember it. But anyway, they were talking about this person, this friend that lost their purpose. So like her dream was like to become all these things, and she became them all. So she no longer had a purpose at the level of form. And so she just felt purposeless. So she needed to find a new purpose. And of course, her search for this purpose is again at the level of form. It's a fiction book, so whatever.
Okay.
But what came to my mind is I keep hearing you say that you go into these things with no purpose. But I don't think that's true. I think you go into them with the one purpose that is for all, which is the connection to God. And that's, so then now because what the ego will do is be like, oh, well then what's the purpose, right? Like, then we don't need to do this. But like, if you start to see that there's the same purpose everywhere, you can see it being fulfilled left and right? Like the true purpose is being fulfilled.
Well, okay. I'm glad you said that, because I told you in my summary, in my note, that the one day I've read the course in the past several weeks. I haven't opened the book in several weeks. And on last Thursday, I literally just picked it up and opened it like this. And it was on the section around healed relationship.
Oh yeah, the holy relationship. Yes.
Or the holy relationship, the healed relationship. And so I read that section, and I was about to have, time with a friend, and it was the reminder of, like you're saying, the purpose of this relationship with this person and anyone, but in this particular example, the purpose of this relationship is God's purpose. Period. And it doesn't, so it was my reminder, like, whatever I want the outcome to be, whatever I feel like I want it to be, whatever I want it to look like, is not the purpose. I don't even know, because I don't know what it's meant to look like. And that was helpful, and probably why I went into watching a bunch of relationship podcasts over the weekend, because when you're in something where you feel an attraction to somebody and you want it to look a certain way, then that's the ego, right? Like, I want it to look like this kind of relationship, a romantic relationship, whatever intimate relationship looks like. And but I was like, this was my reminder that the relationship is God's relationship, not mine. It's not it's through us, the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
So although that hasn't been the mode of the MO that I've operated on for, in the past, I'm getting the reminder. You're reminding me, the book is reminding me, and my ego wants to run away and be like, "No, I want the relationship to look like this." And it's like, but I don't know what it's meant to look like.
But
Only
it
God
makes
knows
sense,
that.
Julie,
Yeah.
why you then listen to a bunch of relationship podcasts, because it's like
I
you're
was seeking.
you're seeking some explanation
Yeah, for
to
sure.
like back up something that told you there is no explanation.
I
Right?
know. I know that.
Which is a part of the unwinding. It's completely okay. But so the thing is, you do know the purpose. The purpose is always to connect with God. So
Right.
the form, the outcome at the level of form, we believe. Okay, so when you're in a relationship, what are you seeking? You're seeking joy,
Closeness.
love, happiness.
Yeah, joy.
Yeah, closeness. Joy. It's really the closeness to love, right? To joy, to that deep heart opening space. But the ego has taught us that we know what that should look like.
Yeah.
And what the label should be. But the problem is that's not the case. And so what I hear you saying is like, that is what needs to be relinquished. As long as you put the forefront, which that relationship, that section talks about, of the purpose of God using it to connect with God, then you will always experience the joy that you're seeking.
Yeah.
Despite what the form looks like. And that's really hard because the ego wants to believe like, no, the form should look like this. And then we get into this difficulty of receiving the love because it doesn't look that way. So then our stories come up of like, oh my God, this person, it makes me think of your friend, Natalia, when she came into class that day. And you're like, oh my God, is she mad at me? Like, because it didn't look a certain way. So you thought the love was cut off.
Right.
But really it never was. It was just your story of how she entered and didn't interact with you that made you unworthy of the love. So you literally cut the love off.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that the whole purpose of all of these relationships is to show you all these places where you're cutting off the love. That's why we love the Rumi quote. It's like, actually, I like what you said. It's the Rumi and Julie quote because it's my quote now.
Hi, Rumi.
I think maybe I was Rumi. We don't know. Maybe I actually wrote that quote. Yeah. No, I hear you. Yep. It's good.
So it's just always remembering that purpose, because it could look like a mess and to see, or it could look like it's ending, or it could look like, but it's, the purpose is always to receive the love of God. And you can do that through anything. But it's like you said, it's actually the barriers, right? We're going to see the barriers in that relationship so that we can fully receive.
Well, yeah, because when you want it to come through, like most of the world does, want it to come through like a romantic relationship, for example, and you don't have that, or you want it to come through a relationship with your parent or your sibling or your best friend or whatever, and it isn't there. I mean, the romantic one is the most obvious one. You want to be with someone in that way because that's what the world has taught us it has to look like. And I just keep reminding myself, like, maybe not. Maybe that's not what it's going to look like.
Well, and it's also like, you only want that because of what you're feeling right now, right? You only,
Say
so
more.
like,
What I'm feeling right now.
okay, so say I'm interacting with a person
Yeah,
and I
right.
feel this deep love. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
only because I feel the deep love do I want the romantic relation. Do you see what I'm saying? The deep love came first, the feeling of that. But then the ego needs to categorize it. It needs to put it in a box. And so it's like, okay, we need to have romantic. But what God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and Jules are inviting you to do is be like, what am I experiencing right now? Right? Like my question when it comes to like money, and I'm always like, am I held right now? And right now you are experiencing the love. Otherwise you wouldn't be dreaming about the romantic relationship. So it's bringing you back to the present of like, why do I care about that? Like I've got it right here, right now.
Yeah, it's already here. I've said that before.
Yeah.
It's like I already have it. It's in the moment, in this present moment, I already have it. It's not
But
labeled, it's not, I know.
It's the belief that if you don't label it, you will lose it.
Yeah, that it won't, exactly, that it won't stay in this form.
But we both, I mean, like, let's look at form, let's be honest. Like, we both were married.
Yeah.
Right? And when you signed up for that marriage and I signed up for that marriage, we were in love and thought this was going to be forever. Yeah. And like, that's the ultimate like commitment, right? Like that's romantic relationship and then committing that romantic relationship. But they both ended. So like, what did that even mean? Nothing. It means nothing other than it's our belief that we need that. And sometimes it'll happen, but it's when we place weight on the belief that that is needed.
Right.
Is when we can't, then when we start to block the love. Because then we're like, fine. If you're not going to be romantic, then it's not this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I see it. It's not easy because, like you said, I've believed it to look a certain way or needed it, all the things to look a certain way. And when it doesn't, and you have to come back and remember, that's why when I opened the book and it was on the holy relationship and I'm like, we're already there. Like we already have that. I already feel the love of God through him, as an example, through you, through Nathania, through many other people, my sisters, like I have it. And so what the label of a romantic partner is an ego construct because I already have it. It might look different than what other people have. So it's a layered thing, but it just, and I'm not too hung up in it, but there is there's some strong beliefs and strong feelings that are like, but I want that, but I feel like I want that to look a certain way. And it's like, but it's God's plan. It'll look like what God wants it to look like. And that's the relationship is for God. It's not for me. That's the words I'm using at this moment. So.
Well, and you're right. Like you're definitely, your posture changes. You can feel you get a little more tensed up when that comes up. So I think it's, again, a looking glass, and it makes sense why you're listening to these relationship podcasts. My invitation would be to go back to that space and read that space in the course. And then even like, and my invitations are always only if you feel called, of course. But in the Jesus and Christianity book, it really breaks it down in there even more like.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to that. Thank you. I forgot. You mentioned it on Lighthouse. We were talking about something else, but you mentioned the Ken book. And as a matter of fact, I'm like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, it's right there. I'm like, where is that? I haven't looked at that in months. So yes, I agree. And you just highlighted for me, because this is my old behavior of seeking through podcasts, like seeking the answer. Someone is going to say something that'll make me feel more comfortable with this. and that I can accept it. And I do still get joy out of watching them nonetheless, but whatever. I don't need to seek an answer.
And I mean, like, it can be, because we can experience love and fear, like, they can quickly move back and forth. So it feels like it's at the same time, but it's not. So what I'm saying is, like, you can be experiencing joy in that podcast, but also the ego can have an ulterior motive of seeking. Yeah. So there can be back and forth of fear that, you know, guides you. But, I mean, it's so funny because you're seeking something at the level of form to make you feel better, like a form explanation, when Jules and Jesus and the Holy Spirit have literally already been like, here, Julie, I know you're looking for, and that's what you open the course to. But that one's hard because it's out here, it's up here, instead of like,
I know.
This is why I remember after my divorce, I would go like do quizzes about like, is this person, do they like me, or do they just want to be my friend? You know, like that whole mentality of trying to figure out like, what do their actions mean? What does this mean? Right. And give it some sort of meaning.
Yeah. Oh,
to feel
sure.
more connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. No, I got it. That's where I'm in the middle of that.
Yeah. Well, invitation on that too, of doing some of your free notes, like the voice notes, of allowing what thoughts to come up, the frustration, the irritation, the anger, whatever's around, like this not being in a space you want it to. And then also tie in the succinctness with that. Like, maybe give yourself permission to do a 8-minute note if you feel like it. You know what I mean? Like, add a little more than you used to, maybe even 6 minutes, whatever. But there's definitely, I can feel it. Like, there's definitely irritation, frustration, pain, beliefs. And I think it's now we have the awareness on it. So now, like, hopefully over the next week, you can start to allow it to slowly move up what the frustration is, and then we can unpack it even further. Because I think that's a really good thing. Not good thing. I think it would be very beneficial conversation in Lighthouse with where everything is at within Lighthouse in regards to relationships and labeling them, romantic, friend,
labeling them,
work partner, attorney,
and what they need
like
to look like.
Yes.
I know.
You're like, I know.
I get it.
How are you feeling?
Good.
For real?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like, so this is just my observation, and I'll be curious to hear yours when you watch it back. But it was filled with so much celebration and the receiving of love and being the lighthouse of love. And then I think we've found a barrier, right, that's coming up with the receiving of all of this love and what to do with it or not do with it. Like a Shakespeare, what to be or not to be. So what to do with it or not do with it.
Well, the only thing that when you just said that is, we already expressed it. It's like the thing that we believe and have been taught is that means all this love needs to look like a romantic partner or a whatever. Like you said, whether that be through a marriage or whatever that looks like. And there's tension there and accepting that it can, and it's what you told me a long time ago about, like, at some point you had feelings for different people in your journey that you were like, maybe I'm in love with them.
No, I thought I was.
And the ego, you think you're in love. And it's not that I'm not. It's not that I'm not in love with these people. It's that I want my mind wants it labeled. My mind is not settled because it's like, well, what does this mean? how can you be in love with these multiple people or whatever it is? And I have to define it. I have to like put it in a category. Otherwise, I'm like, it can't possibly be that I feel the same feelings for this person
all these
and this
people.
person and all these people. And it's like, then I want to do but I've known this person for this long and this person, my mind is wanting to categorize all of these things. And it's not very noisy, but there's some noise there for sure.
Yeah.
And I
some
just
grappling.
have to reel it back. Yeah, I have to kind of reel it back and say, I just remind myself, I'm like, I even said to Nathania yesterday, I said, I told my coach that we're having a love affair. I was laughing because we're just having such a fun, beautiful time of connection together. And she was like, I don't think she said, she was like, okay, cool. You know, like and again, it doesn't mean what the ego world wants us to think. It just means I just feel joyful and love for her.
Love of God through her.
And that's it. And that's it. But my mind, I can say that to you, but my mind is like, well, we need to put that in a category.
100%, because it's like, it's again, you know, we do not fear the light, we fear the dark, or we do not fear the darkness, we fear the light. And so when we fear something, what do? We give it a story. That's how we ended up with all the stories. And we have to research it and, you know, dissect it and do all these things to it to believe we understand it. And so this massive pouring of love coming through, I think to some extent you've been able to accept it, but then it's like it crosses the threshold, meaning it found the next rock. That's like, oh wait, but this is okay, now we've hit too much. Okay, so now we need a story for this because we've hit the threshold.
Yeah. And it's combined with what do I think I want?
Yeah. That's a scary plate. That's the slippery slope. Not even a slippery slope. That's just like,
I think I want it to look a certain way.
Which is I well, like all the red flags.
Which is why I had to read that chapter about all relationships are for God. Period.
Period.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get annoyed about it because I'm like, fine, why do I have to be the one that thinks like this? Sometimes.
Because you answered the call.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
You answered the call.
I'm like,
yeah.
No, 95%.
But how beautiful.
It's wonderful, and I love it.
And to be honest with you, I think someone who is really, quote unquote, experiencing a dark place would listen to this and probably be like, what the hell is her problem? You know what I mean? So like, it's so funny that like when we get to this state of being in joy so often, I was telling that girl yesterday, I was like, the smallest thing like can feel like the end of the world. But if you would have experienced that like 7 years ago, it would just not be, it wouldn't even be a thing because that's how you're always in the darkness.
You're just used to it.
You're just living in the darkness.
No, I'm good with it. That's why when you said, how do I feel? I feel good.
Yeah. I mean, but you can be honest with yourself too. I think I do hear some ghosting of yourself. I'll be honest with you, of like not fully allowing yourself to acknowledge like these are the thoughts that Julie's actually having, and it makes sense. Like frustration, you know, yearning, all those things. And so maybe just like that's why I brought up the voice notes. I think just giving yourself permission to hear what dark thoughts, I say dark, thoughts actually are there around it, you know, which I think you were starting to share of like, why do I have to be this person? You know, like those kind of thoughts. Like, why did we choose this? Like, why can't we just be like everyone else?
And I say it sarcastically because I'm like, I would never change it. I would never go back.
Yeah. But
I
sometimes
wouldn't.
we really feel that way, and that's okay in the moment to be like, this is
No, I don't want
uncomfortable.
it. No, I don't. It's just it's the in between of I see both sides, and
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes I'm like, but I kind of want this thing like over
Right.
here, and I'm like, but I know it's not my doing. It's not my choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to I am working towards full acceptance. I'm
Mm-hmm.
there. I see it. I
Mm-hmm.
do accept it most of the time. But it's also sometimes like, but why can't I have what I want or what I think I want?
Yeah, but right, because you remind
Hmm.
us that all the time. What you like,
I
if you're
know.
seeing it, that's what you really want.
That's what you really want. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Uh,
it's the in between until you really get to the other belief or the new belief that's truly what you say and what you said to me I think last time, which is thoughts, feelings, actions all align. And it's like right now there's still little things going, well, but
yeah.
I want this.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think I
Right.
do. And I do that and I'm like, be careful what you say you want because are you sure? Maybe you
Right.
don't know. Maybe
Mm.
you don't know better than God does.
Yeah, maybe not. Like,
Maybe
maybe
not.
not. Hmm. Well, I'll be curious. I mean, I
So,
think this is a beautiful area for it to be a
yeah.
backdrop, right? Like, I don't know what to do with all my love I've got coming in,
I
right? Like, what a
know.
beautiful
It's like that's what
backdrop.
I mean. It reminds me of remember the retreat in Portugal, and one of the girls there, the younger ladies that was living there at the
Yeah.
retreat place. She gave the feedback I got from her when I was leaving was I prickled her because I was so positive and happy.
Yeah. I remember that.
And
Mm.
I remember thinking, yeah, you're really struggling with this negative mindset you've got going on here. And I'm been working on my mindset for a long time.
Mm.
But I remember her saying that, like, because you're so happy and positive, and I thought, I mean, yeah, I am. I am.
Mm.
But also, like, I wouldn't, no one's in your mind and
Mine.
in your, well, day to day. And it's like, it's not 100%. And maybe
Mm.
I was like, well, good. Maybe I'm a good role model for you then. I don't know.
Well, and it was a mirror. Like, that was you talking to yourself, too, right? Like, and I think
Yeah,
that's another reminder that maybe there is times you don't give yourself fully permission, like you said
for
earlier,
sure.
and you
For
gaslight
sure.
yourself. And
Yeah,
that's kind of
for
what she
sure.
was saying, right? Is like,
Yeah, like, is it really like that all the time?
right, like
Yeah.
you telling yourself, right? Like, let's be honest. Like, how do
Mm-hmm.
we really feel? Like, I felt very uncomfortable at this place. And like, you guys are great,
Yeah.
like, whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But I think you've gotten really, really good at like allowing it when it's ready to come through.
Yeah.
The uncomfortable thoughts that you don't want to attach to, but they're in there. I mean, like if they weren't in there, then you would
Yeah.
be, fully experiencing love all the time. So it's about allowing them through and being like, I know this isn't who I am. This is a belief I have that needs to come through.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, what a problem to have, right? Isn't that what a statement is?
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, that is what they
Right.
say.
What a just demeaning
I'll take
statement,
that. I know. It's not a problem.
right?
There are
Like,
no
what the
problems.
heck? Yeah. Well, and like to say
Yeah.
that to someone, that's so dismissive.
I know. It is so dismissive. Everyone has their things, and that's okay.
And they all look different because it's a unique journey laid out by
And they're
God and
all, yeah,
just as impactful, no matter what they look like.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
my dear, do you
So,
want to give me your 60-second recap?
yeah, all relationships are for God's purpose only.
Love it. I think you've come to a really beautiful place with alcohol with that. I mean, that was a beautiful representation earlier, or coming to, like, closer to that place.
Coming to. Yeah, I felt something shift in the fact that I shared that story with
For sure.
him, and I was like, huh.
Right.
And that was interesting, so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
so much love.
Yeah, thank you.